Dave Bell, an Admiral nurse from Dementia UK, is in the studio to answer your questions. Actually, before I ask you about Emmerdale, what is an Admiral nurse?
OK, Admiral has nothing to do with the Navy. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Now, we were named after the nickname for the person whose family actually set the charity up in the first place. So he was a keen sailor, and he was nicknamed the Admiral.
OK.
So we were set up.
Emmerdale, what do you make of? Is that a fair reflection?
I think they've done very, very well. Apart from how brilliant the acting is in Emmerdale, they've touched on many of the themes that are actually really important to families. The difficulties that Ashley faced with coping with the cognitive changes that were going on, the frustrations that all those around him were coping with in trying to argue with him at times, but also trying to provide the right emotional support for him at home.
Okay.
So I think they did very well.
OK, we're going to fire a few more questions at you, and then we're going to throw open the phone lines to you and take your calls and nothing but. So, Dawn, do you want to kick us off?
What do you think? I mean, I know my uncle is suffering from dementia, and I know that sort of every time I go around to see him, which, you know, isn't as often as maybe it should be, I always wonder, I take a deep breath and wonder, will he remember me, you know, when you go in? And I just wondered, like, what do you find is the #1 problem for a relative?
I mean, it's really for the person themselves going through the process of dementia, and you saw it with Ashley, is that difficulty with making sense of the environment around you, of who's who, of where you are. And that can lead to a whole level of stress and insecurity. People feel afraid. And if you're feeling stressed, you start to have more difficulty remembering as well. I think the most important thing is to create the if you like, the good relationship with him. Make him feel safe with you. Make him feel that, you know, even if he can't remember your name, the emotional feeling he's going to get from you being there is going to make a huge difference for him.
OK,
so,
OK. Mark?
Yeah, this happened to my mum. She got early onset Alzheimer's and dementia. And
I'm under 65.
Yeah. And it went on for a long time, 8 years or 9 years it took. And it was really, really difficult. And really quickly she went to catatonia, like we couldn't get anything out of her. I found myself being able to tap into her past and get her eating stuff like that she had when she was a kid. And I was having trouble with my siblings, fighting them. But the guilt of putting her into this home, how do the carers cope with that guilt?
That's a really hard one, and I think, again, going back to Emmerdale, that's going to be a theme from now on, because you feel like you failed. People feel like, oh, I promised my mum I would never put her in a home.
Yeah.
Actually, things have changed. You know, the person who you made that promise to has developed a range of disabilities, because that's what it's about, that are no longer something you're able to cope with. Yeah. You know, we can do so much, and if you think about it in terms of other levels of disability, sometimes it's beyond us. Yeah. But when it comes to that, I think it's about making a partnership with the folks in the care home who are going to be providing that help and support that you can no longer do yourself. You might not be able to have a hoist in your bedroom to help your mum get around.
But what about the daily feeling of guilt, that I am failing, that I don't want to go there anymore?
They say, because you gave some statistics out as well, that carers experience a high level of stress around caring for someone with dementia, and we think that probably 40% of people who are carers experience full-on depression, which needs to be treated, and that escalates as well. That turns into something that you can't.
So what do you do if you're going down the sort of dark hole?
And it's so hard. I think our advice to people in that situation is to build as much support around you as you can. It's not always possible, because sometimes the carer is actually very old themselves and can't make that journey. Do you know what? Everyone I've spoken to this morning, from the taxi driver who brought me in to the people in makeup, has got an experience around dementia, and often it's a very, very sad one about loss and about how you cope with that change. I think it's really important, as I say, to build the relationship. If for care staff as well, because this is two ways. This is for the professionals to understand the impact it's having on the carer as well. So to make them feel that they're welcome, to make them feel they've still got a role.
Christine?
Well, I don't think there's a family in the country that isn't touched by dementia in some shape or form, either through a friend. But this is something Matthew was telling me about during the break, which I hadn't really thought about. The male partner has dementia. He's gone into a home, and his wife is visiting him as much as she can, and she's obviously very stressed out. And she sees her husband of many, many, many years actually coupling up and getting far too intimate with a female member who's also got dementia in the care home. I mean, how do you begin to cope with what is a betrayal of your entire life together?
Gosh, that's
unwitting betrayal, obviously.
Yeah, no, and that's really, really hard and really sad. And I think in some ways, I'm not saying it should have been picked up before, but it's a devastating experience because it didn't just happen. It's happened. It's come around as a result of those feelings of insecurity, of loss. One person who I was talking to this morning was saying that her grandmother used to love having her hands touched, being stroked, having an arm round her, because a lot of the time she was in the care home, she sat there with no physical contact, no activity, nothing happening. Many care homes are brilliant, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Please, I'm not saying that. But if people are left for a long time without that connection, watching what's going on and seeing that there's things happening, but feeling lonely and
would you still
ignored
advocate
almost.
going to visit someone who has forgotten you altogether?
Yeah.
You would advocate that,
and that can happen as well. I think you just have to find little ways of making yourself feel good about that visit as well.
I can tell, if you'll forgive me for saying so, but the tone of your voice in itself I'm finding very, very helpful and relaxing. So I think I'd like to think that's some kind of indicator of the professionalism of people like yourself.
Well, I think so, and I think the care home staff need to be like that as well. They need to be inclusive and making sure that the person who comes in to visit, even though they're not recognised, feels good, feels okay about it.
Any person with any humanity would be racked with guilt for the rest of their life if they didn't go and visit.
And I didn't finish saying what I was saying. I'm sorry, but just about, I think that need for security, that the person who's in the same situation as Ashley is, and he's going to be experiencing insecurity and feeling lost. He already was when he was at home. Is going to be looking out for someone to hold their hand.
Do feel free to comment and give us a thumbs up if you feel inclined. For more clips from the show and exclusive behind-the-scenes videos, click here. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button here to be automatically informed when new videos are available. Links to our other social media platforms can be found in the description. Thanks for watching.